so many business owners are too scared to make the tough decisions to right-size the business because they see it as a sign of failure.
The trouble with a lot of us in businesses, we kind of look to the media, look to what the government is saying to tell us, oh, how's the economy going, how's it all going, rather than even looking at our own numbers and our own actions to then create a difference in the numbers.
Small and medium-sized business owners in New Zealand, you've got an unfair advantage that you're agile. You can make a decision, you can look at your numbers and go, actually, my family home is on the line here, my livelihood, my kids, your partner, whatever else, your lifestyle. If you want to protect that, you've got to make the tough decisions.
Well, I'm having flashbacks to my early dating years, Phil, because there's mixed messages everywhere we look at the moment. Some of our clients are absolutely flying, and then some of us are teasing us, and then others are really struggling.
It seems to be that way, and we speak about it a fair bit recently, about 1 minute it's all doom and gloom in New Zealand, and there's data that's really old from Stats NZ because they're trying to catch up with the paper returns that just confirms that we're doing no good, and then we get the beat up in the media. But then we were commenting in the office recently around how the tide seems to have turned a little bit, and there's a bit more of an air of positivity, and I think it was just trying to maybe artificially inflate people's sense of worth and outlook that things are going to get better than they actually are. But when the rubber actually meets the road, substance over form, I believe, is what they say, and there's no freaking substance to it because people's pipelines are dry.
Yeah, the old pipelines do look pretty gnarly for some businesses. Now, for context for those listening, we get to discuss business with people who are turning over tens of millions through to turning over
A few 100,000.
Yeah, some with staff itching towards 40, 50, right through to I'm getting my first hire. I would say that the hungry, agile, aspirational, small business owner with less than 5 staff is still doing quite well and is finding pockets of work going, actually, you know what, we're pretty sweet. I think as soon as you start scaling up leases, you start scaling up OPEX, then because of that, people, then your costs get out of control very quickly.
What just flashed into my mind when you were talking about going from the smaller, more agile business, and there's nothing wrong with those businesses. I think they're great businesses. They've certainly got massive advantages over the punishing corporates that we see. But then even comparing across our client base, where you've got the smaller ones compared to those ones that have leveled up, that have got the leases and are carrying the overheads, you're scaling more problems. And if you're scaling more problems, you're scaling more things that are going wrong, that when the economy contracts, you've got to find ways to fix. And they become increasingly harder to fix, particularly when it's a lease, because you're locked into it. And when certain customers aren't spending and you're carrying staff and motor vehicle leases and office expenses and subscriptions, all these bits and pieces that go on, insurance, it's just like, man, how can we trim this and get it so much slimmer as opposed to a business that's, maybe a mum and dad that's got 2 or 3 people. I mean, that's typically nowhere near carrying the degree of costs that the bigger one is going through.
Well, a good example is this time of year when you have Christmas parties, right?
Yep.
And if you've got 20 staff, well, there's an expectation for 20 of them that, well, how do I get to the office if we're going to be drinking that day? Oh, okay, maybe we do say to everyone, you know what, you can charge back your Uber transactions on the way home. We don't want you to be drink driving or going in public transport if you've had a couple, yet we aren't going to be at the office. Okay, we'll make a blanket rule, we'll pay for everyone's. Oh, geez, 5 of them can't make it. What are we going to do for them? Well, we better buy them something because they can't be a part of the festivities. When you have 2 or 3 people, you don't have that scale of cost and problem and complexity.
Yeah, and then there's the scale of expectation of what's required, because at a bigger organisation, it's obviously perceived that there's bigger pockets. So it's not only the Uber home, it's the unlimited bar. It's the what's the gift that I'm going to get this year? The bottle of champagne and the Christmas ham, and maybe the New World or the Faro voucher or some little Christmas pudding, or maybe a blunt umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the event. So we talk about, and some people might see it that we mug employees off and they only work however many days a year by the time you take into account weekend sick day entitlements, annual leave entitlements, and statutory days and all those days. I don't think we've ever stopped back and thought, hang on, what about the days leading up to Christmas holidays? Because we know that the Christmas party, that's a day off. Like you go to work, you're there physically, but mentally we ain't got any output. We're not moving the productivity or GDP needle in New Zealand on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of December.
Well, interestingly, on those dates, do you know when the next release of the GDP data comes out? It's the 18th of December.
Is it?
Most people have probably clocked off for the year by then, but imagine the sucker punch when people will
Merry
find
Christmas.
out to potentially we're in recession. If the September quarter is negative, then there'll be 2 negative quarters. We're going to send everyone into Christmas.
Yeah,
so
depressed.
conspiracy in me will be they'll make it a 0.0 to ensure that we're not technically in a recession. Smart, then
Rounding.
revise it next year.
Yeah.
You can't try and twist the narrative, get people excited again and go, get back out there and spend and things are going to get better, and then go, by the way, we're in a technical recession or were during the middle of the year. I think they'll have to cook the books and make it a 0.0. Heard it here first.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't be. Look, nah, you're not wrong. I mean, we might get slammed by some people soon. Interestingly, we digress already. Well, I digress already because Sean Plunkett from the platforms obviously had his thing with the BSA. We're due to get a letter, surely. Maybe Stats NZ could be our first. Who knows? But let's see what happens. But no, I think in terms of, because you're talking to the psychology of how people think and therefore behave, and if they're thinking and behaving in a certain way, that's going to influence and impact decisions around spending. And as we go into the holiday period, that's when people are typically feeling more upbeat than other times. It's warm, you're happy, you're at the beach, there's less pressure because you're not at work, you're able to enjoy life. But if the media grab onto that and it's these 2 quarters that have now of negative growth, that's the technical recession that you're talking about, then what does that do to the mood of the nation heading into summer? And people are just going to go, oh yeah, maybe I won't buy that tip-top trumpet.
Yeah, and going back to having a number of people, recently we saw a business who unfortunately lost a couple of key clients just like that, both in the same month. And when you have more people, it makes it harder to respond, right? Because all of those wages still have to get paid. The overheads are still the same, but we've just been smashed at that revenue layer. And I think you can get undone in business very quickly as you have more people. And this isn't don't hire heaps of people, etc. This is just you have to understand the risk with anything when you start adding in more cost. And now, unfortunately, a business like that still has all those outgoings, sales drop back, negative gross margins. We're either running up debt or we're eating into cash reserves. And it can unwind a business very quickly.
I reckon the point that you raised really highlights the different number of hats that a small business owner has to wear, that you go into business going, right, I'm going to go off and I'm going to sell T-shirts. I mean, this is the example we love talking about. And Bev with a Benina, we haven't spoken about Bev for a while, and T-shirts. And then it's just like all of a sudden, gee, I need to be able to run Xero or MYOB or be able to use a spreadsheet. I need to understand pricing. And then we're here talking about cash flow, and then it's hiring people and then go, okay, the economy's contracting and now I need to offload those people. So then how do you go from being somebody that's selling T-shirts to then being a business owner, being able to see the stuff and then make decisions? It's blooming hard.
Yeah, it is still brutal. And I think, as we've touched on before, many Kiwi business owners are slow to
react.
Yeah.
I'll call it now, and I've been itching to say it because I wrote it down and I've spoken about it the last couple of days. But I reckon the great example here on a larger scale that I think illustrates the same pain that everybody else is going through, it just gets their media attention because it's a big company in New Zealand. First half, I believe it was, result, shite. They've come through, they've made a loss, they expected to make a profit. At the top line, they've forecast to have 2 to 3% growth in revenue. Hadn't come through. What was really interesting in their announcement was that they could not see in their forward bookings any sign of growth. And I thought to myself, if you go on and book an airfare with Air New Zealand at any point in time, I think you can book 10, maybe 12 months into the future, give or take. And I thought, man, if you're not seeing an impact into demand into the future of even 1 or 2%, given that you were trying to go for 2 or 3% growth, like, you're fucked. Yeah. And the really scary thing that their press release said was that they're obviously going through their engine issues and other bits and pieces, but the key thing that stuck out to me was they're still carrying a full workforce to be able to deliver capacity and growth. And I'm like, you've just contradicted yourself because there's no growth in your top section. And I'm like, if that was, and then I immediately thought in the context of a SME business. I thought, man, this is really interesting and insightful because big businesses face the same challenges that our small businesses that we love helping face. We're all in the same pool. The numbers have just got more zeros on the ends of them, right? So I thought to myself, if I was the accountant or advisor to this small business, albeit it's called Air New Zealand, and you're carrying all of these people, but we've said that our growth forecasts aren't coming through, but we're carrying a business that's built for growth, this doesn't add up. 1 and 1 doesn't make 2 here. We need to offboard some people to trim back our overheads because our people are going to be one of our biggest costs. We ultimately need to be profitable. Ignore the fact that they're owned by the government or the taxpayer and that it's continually being topped up. Think about it as your business. It's either going to be your home loan or the bank, or you're going to not be paying the IRD, topping it up so that you can pay the wages. That can only go on for so long. We've got to cut the tie and let the people go.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Air New Zealand and their financial performance, but I see they've got a new CEO, only just starting.
Yes.
Only just passing the reins. You watch the media turn on that bloke real quick, man, if he has to announce a redundancy, restructure,
Big time.
In these first few months. But with a new CEO, and all organisations always brings a new way that they do things as well. So it'll be fascinating to see how he runs that. But yeah, if you run a share price graph of Air New Zealand, you would have only lost over the last 5 years.
See red.
Yeah, you would have lost half of your investment from about $1.20 near on.
When was that? Sorry, what's the time frame?
That was top of the bubble looked to be December 2020.
In 5 years.
Yeah, you're at about $1.15 maybe, and you're down to about a 60-cent. Even over the last year, you're actually up, from this date to a year ago, up 10%. But if you zoom out, the trend for that company is very untidy.
Yeah. That is exceptionally untidy.
Yeah, you don't want to be looking at that for too long.
But the concept, like to bring that back, and why I raise it, one, because it's topical, but two, I think it highlighted the issues that small and medium-sized businesses face. We're all trying to manage our pipeline and get visibility, and then go, we all know things are tough. And then go, okay, pipelines, we're still seeing the discussions with clients is, man, no one's committing to making a decision. And, we all thought that, things would be starting to come right now. We've kind of geared the business up to be like, yep, the last part of 2025, we're going for it. And that hasn't come to fruition. We're now going, okay, it's going to get better in 2026. And I now see that the media and the economists are all starting to come out with their little quirky names for the fix in 26 or whatever else, or whatever else they're going to come up with, and then whatever's going to happen in 2027. But I think it really highlights for New Zealand, small and medium-sized business owners in New Zealand, you've got an unfair advantage that you're agile. You can make a decision, you can look at your numbers and go, actually, my family home is on the line here, my livelihood, my kids, your partner, whatever else, your lifestyle. If you want to protect that, you've got to make the tough decisions. And if that means going, right, I've got to go to the landlord and go, hey, look, I'm in this position, any chance of rent relief? We've seen it happen before. Landlords are open to it. They don't want to lose a tenant. If it's going to be another, say, 3 years left on a deal or 2 years left on a deal, better to have the tenant you've got than have them go bust. Have the tough conversation. The same goes with having the staff. We've had clients do it recently, and from a meeting that I was at in the last month, sat down from the previous meeting, they were going to go through a restructure. They did the restructure, sent out the notices, and one person says, I'll take voluntary redundancy.
Gone straight away.
Boom, gone. Yeah. Yep. And then there's been a number of people that have left this particular business in the last, say, 3 to 6 months. Not a single one of those people have been replaced.
Really?
All because of the pipeline.
Far out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was going to ask what industry, but better not get too specific there. But yeah, there is still, I mean, I think the nimble, agile businesses that are targeting like wealthy boomers and wealthy people, that's the niche that's still going okay. Anywhere where your customer is potentially a bit older with a bit more money that is willing to pay at value, there's a way to make some margin and do some good work for them and outcompete other people in your industry and look after yourself.
And I think that they are prepared to spend because, and I'll share a story, and it's a sad one because it came up on the local community Facebook page that there's people that unfortunately prey on these people and they use tree cutting services as their method to fleece people. And they've gone around the particular community and said, hey, look, you got big trees, we'll cut them. They prey on old people and they're charging tens of thousands of dollars and don't even do the work. They're just fleecing the money. So it proves the point. The boomers have got the money and they're prepared to spend it if you're going to add value, provided you're doing it legitimately.
Yeah, shit. They're so gross, that people...
Gross,
yeah.
but to the point that there's a generation of people that are sitting on a stack load of cash, and you've got the numbers of dollars that are sitting in term deposits or just sitting in bank accounts at the moment that's just unspent, that's primarily held by the boomers, courtesy of multiple property booms over the years, that are just itching to spend that money. And I think if you can get in there and you can solve a problem or add value, they will spend it.
I saw a cool flyer from a young fella the other day. I think they're 16, I think. They have a flyer pre-done up and it says, you look like you're busy. And so they go around and they target houses where maybe the lawns are overgrown, etc.
Nice.
So they try and speak directly to them. And the mum was saying to me, you have an unbelievable hit rate on this pamphlet. I'm like, man, well done.
That is awesome.
Just going out there cleaning up.
Are you thinking about buying a business or maybe getting yours values? At Next Advisory, we help you figure out what a business is really worth and guide you through a business purchase with confidence. Before you buy, visit nextadvisory.nz and book a time to have a chat with me.
The other thing, mate, speaking of running airlines and narratives and whatnot, I always think, watch what they do, not what they say. And, you have Christopher Luxoff, who I now call him.
Great pickup there. When you mentioned that in the office the first time a little while ago, I thought that was sensational.
It doesn't really seem like his luck is on or his luck is in, and the people are pretty off him at the moment by the seams. So,
could I just make a note here, just as a reference point that we can come back to in a future point in time. I don't believe I've heard this anywhere else.
Luxoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe the media will pick up on it after hearing this. Probably in the new year as we get into the election cycle.
Yeah, when they're talking about pick up sticks in 26 or something. Here's my tricks for 26. Righto, get some fucking better marketing skills. Sorry. Now, watch what he's doing, not what he's saying. I believe he's trying to trim down some costs in his own personal life and filling out forms to get an $8,000 rate rebate or something like that.
Has he?
Over there on Waiheke.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he'd separated from his wife.
Wow.
No, that's out the gate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We might have to edit that out. Okay.
He's a good Christian man.
Wouldn't that be more
wouldn't
costly?
do that. Potentially.
Anyway. So, he's even trying to trim some costs out of his personal, revalued the home on Waiheke or something. I saw all the headlines. I didn't read into it, so it's just me bringing up some classic political type banter, everyone losing their shit about it. But it seems like he revalued it. Okay, great. Rates are down by $8,000 or something, and people are saying, what a hypocrite, when, they're not willing to fund other areas of the economy. But getting to the narrative piece, what I find interesting is that they were saying, like, we're the party that, a coalition that are going to bring down inflation, etc. And they kind of did. But then over the last 12 months, inflation's gone up 2.2, 2.5, 2.73. And it kind of looks like it's still going up that way.
Yep.
But I was thinking about this morning. You've got 3% inflation, which is kind of a crock of shit anyway, because most people are spending money on rates, insurance, food, travel, especially this time of year. And it hasn't increased by 3%. It's got to be a lot higher than that. But maybe because your TV decreased and the rest of the basket of goods brings it down to 3%. Okay, how many households are getting a 3% increase in their income? Probably not a lot of them. How many are getting it after tax?
Yeah, none.
Even less.
Yeah. So
when the politicians come out and say, it's still good news, it's within the 1% to 3% band. Well, no, it's at 3%, but we buy into this shit like, okay, it's not that bad then. Well, I don't know. Like for me, if I couldn't increase my income by over 3% net, well, I don't really want to believe that and just go, okay, everything's fine. And I think that's the trouble with a lot of us in businesses. We kind of look to the media, look to what the government is saying to tell us, how's the economy going? How's it all going? Rather than even looking at our own numbers and our own actions to then create a difference in the numbers. And even some of the lag that we've seen with business owners slow to make decisions because, oh, we'll hold on to the staff because we might pick up another client. I heard the economy is going to get better, but you haven't built up reserves to allow you that privilege.
No.
You know, you're now running up debt to the IRD, you're getting behind on other payments, you're running up debt to your creditors. What really need to be fixed was right-sizing the business to then get you to the economy that it is there to then go, right, okay, we're still in the fight, we're in the game, let's put the foot down.
I think the key phrase there is right-size the business, and I think so many business owners are too scared to make the tough decisions to right-size the business because they see it as a sign of failure.
Yes.
Because there's just ego in the way and going, shit, I've put myself out there and I've gone off and I've put the Ford Ranger on HP and we're going on the overseas holidays and life looks good. Like you've got the Instagrammable life and you've got the employees. And then in a contracting economy, when stuff starts and gets difficult and tight and you can't take as much cash out of the business to then support that stuff, decisions have got to be made. And it's a real shame when some business owners look at it and go, you know what, my lifestyle is more important to maintain because I don't want to bruise my ego, so I just won't pay my GST and then I won't pay my PAYE. So you're living off the bank of IRD to try and support some stuff that's going on over here rather than actually making the tough calls to go, actually, you know what? It's better that I protect my asset, the business. And that's the real key thing that we try and put across to business owners is you've got to protect your business because it is an asset. Yeah. It's worth something. And if you mistreat it, and that's what not paying the IRD is doing, you're mistreating your asset, you're going to impair its value and it's going to go down. And if you keep doing it for a longer enough period of time, somebody's going to come along and pull the rug out from underneath you and you're going to be left with nothing. So you're actually better to save face and go, hey, look, guys, we don't have any work or our work over the next 6 months isn't looking as good as what we had hoped. You know, we're going to go through a bit of a restructure. It might look like, hey, we've got a team of 5, 1 needs to go. Or actually, rather than going a team of 5, 1 needs to go, are you all prepared to go on to a 4-day week? You know, there's a whole heap of different levers and bits and pieces that can be manipulated in the business to get you through that short-term cycle. And I think the other part of it, when you start to look at some of those lifestyle and other decisions on the outside are made, that really shows up the business owners that probably haven't listened to the advice that we're taking in terms of just the fundamentals of setting cash aside for not only tax, but the old shit hits the fan account. You know, you build up some resilience on your balance sheet. We're always talking about the balance sheet being a soaking wet mess and trying to dry it out. Let's get our debtors paying us. Let's draw down stock as low as we possibly can, get cash spinning through that thing. But at the same time as cash is spinning through the business as quickly as we can make it, we also want to be stacking it. And if we've stacked it, we've got to a level of preparedness so that when we get to these times, and we've seen business owners be in this exact position where they go, gee, we're carrying a full workforce. And this actually might be in Air New Zealand's case. I mean, I haven't looked at their balance sheet, but they might be sitting on a stack load of cash. Don't know whether they are. If they are, it's come from the government as a loan, which is courtesy of the taxpayer. But that then gives them some liquidity, some funding, cash to be able to go, we'll keep our stuff, we'll keep paying you because we've got prepared for this. You know, it's like these weather events that pop up and the old civil defence say, oh, you know, make sure you've got your tins of baked beans and your can opener and your little wireless radio going, ready to tune into ZB. Building cash reserves in your business is exactly the same because we get to these tough times and we want to be able to open that bucket and start and draw down on some of that cash to see us through.
I was doing a 90-day check-in, the final one with the business owner yesterday, and I'm sure they won't mind me
sharing.
Yeah, this because I think it really helped them, and I think it's exactly what you were just talking about. They are really busy, and this is their busy season, and this is revenue season, so they like to see their revenue higher. And I was kind of challenging them on the fact that they're working on revenue but not asset. Oh. And they really understood it by the end of it, where I was saying, because I actually picked this up in the accounting space, is that accountants are obsessed with putting shit on their timesheet because that's what we're trained with. You do not leave this without doing your timesheet, and the timesheet drives the revenue, drives the invoicing, and you'll get paid. Yep. So when you run a business, you're kind of in the habit of, I need to do client work because it'll drive revenue.
Yep.
But really, that's all good to pay the bills for the next month, but it doesn't pay the bills in 6 months' time. So I was telling them that analogy and explaining to them about that, where revenue for them at the moment is, okay, I get up in the morning and there's a client inquiry. Great, I've got to get back to them. It's going to drive revenue. I've got this task to do to them, or this is broke down, but fine, we've got to get it done because that then leads to us being able to finish it, to send the invoice, to get paid, to get the revenue, and then I've got to invoice them. So all of this stuff sits on the revenue side, but all of the stuff that they are neglecting to a degree where I'm like, guys, I need you doing more of this, is content, outreach, emails, LinkedIn, but none of that drives revenue instantly. So we go, but I need to do this stuff because it's more important. I said, yeah, that is for the here and now, but it's not for January, for February, for March, so I'm like, we need to be doing these things to drive the value of the asset, which will in turn create revenue in the future anyway. And it's something that we're really in tune with because we can get bogged down in doing client work and we have to stop ourselves and be like, shit, like we've still got to work on our business and work on our asset, and we've just been doing some work in here before recording these to do that and to ensure that the revenue comes through in 2026. And it would be very easy to go, oh, we don't need to do that, but we know that you're always balancing two sides in a business. And I think, I don't know, like I wouldn't want to put a percentage on it, but I was going to say like 80% of New Zealand businesses, I reckon they would only ever really focus on the revenue side.
Oh, mate.
Being kind?
Mate, you're way too kind. I mean,
95? 95.5.
Like you think of doing the 90-day stuff and then even the business planning stuff that we've done with clients.
Yeah.
And the business planning stuff is so much on working on the business. And then when you meet with some clients and it's the same issues that were at the beginning of the 12-month cycle that are still coming up at the end of the 12-month cycle, it's just like, make the fucking time, and it's just having a commitment. And it's just listening to what you're saying then has got me thinking around working in the business versus on the business. And I think working in the business is on the revenue side, and working on the business is the asset side. And maybe that's what we need to reframe the discussion as, is we're not working on the business. You're actually working on increasing your net worth, increasing your wealth. Do you want to be wealthier? These are the tasks you need to do. Let's not fucking wait for the property cycle to go through its boom and bust every 10 years. There's things we can be doing now as business owners that are going to impact our value of the business into the future if we do them consistently now. And I think the things that you raised just before of the tactical tasks people can actually go away and do, like they seem just mundane and sometimes they're difficult. And I mean, I know I struggle with them sometimes, probably a lot of the time because it's so easy just to go into nerd mode and get the work done. But they genuinely do improve the value of your asset. And I know that because it's going to create certainty of cash flow into the future because it's going to get customers spending with you. Yeah. And if we're creating certainty of cash flow into the future, it's going to impact your business valuation.
Yeah, and on an emotional level, it's going to give you confidence. So if you're building an asset, and if you know that you can lean on the asset to get a return, like when you invest in a lovely bank like Heartland, and you have that confidence. You have that confidence that there'll be a dividend coming in. You get to operate in a completely different manner, right? And I think that's what a lot of SMEs and the entire country is missing at the moment, is that we don't have that confidence because we don't invest in assets. We just invest in the here and now and revenue. And when times get tough, we go, oh, fuck it, I'll just borrow some more money and that'll get me through. And you're kind of seeing this too, where we don't have a lot of confidence in the overall economy because you've still got people going, what if I lose my job? You know? And so if you have high unemployment, which we have at the moment compared to where we were, and we're about to get another announcement in the 5th of November, like those people can't move forward with confidence because they don't really know if their income is secure. And this sounds a bit unfair, but if you are an employee that goes, well, actually, I've got 4 other places that I could work and I know I could get a job, you're going to be more confident than someone that goes, holy shit, I just got a redundancy letter. How could this happen? What's this going to mean? What are my options about my mortgage? And you're going to be into very uncharted territory very quickly.
I'm sitting here just thinking back over the 2025 year, and, you know, we got to the end of 2024 and it was just like, shit, finally we're into 2025. It was, you know, we're going to thrive in 2025. While sitting here mid-October or towards almost the end of October, I don't know of any fucker that's actually like thrived, you know? Like we've had clients that have done really well in this year, but I think when you look at the traditional spread curve, on average, most business owners have found it tough. And I think that really highlights that earlier point that you were talking about, that shows up just how much more work the average business owner needs to do in terms of working on building their asset value and working on their business. And there's a huge, I mean, people would probably listen to this, oh, you guys are being unfair and you don't know what, oh, we've got all these challenges, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, you do. You're operating in the same environment as everyone else, but it just highlights you haven't done the work. Like, if you're whinging about it, like, you've got too many excuses. Park the excuses and find something to do. Replace the excuses with actually going, well, okay, there's some work here that I can do to actually improve the asset value. Let's focus on those. And I think if we do those consistently, and maybe that should be the focus for 2026, and I don't know how to put it into some sexy little marketing phrase, but if we can get business owners honed in on working on the activities that increase their asset value, we will have a better economy on the other side.
Yeah, it's the tough work as well, right? Because it's the delayed gratification, it's the what's it going to lead to. And so I think that's where the people who do it get an unfair advantage as well.
Massive. Delayed, like picking up on the delayed gratification piece to a point, because we've now been doing this content stuff, if we call it that, for 5-6 years now.
Well, I suppose from day one we were doing live videos.
We were actually, but as we've got mature and we've sophisticated, and we've got real mature now with the studio and stuff. But it's quite comforting, and it brings that degree of confidence in the conversations that we're having with business owners now, that we've put in the work consistently over the years, that we can now leverage off of the work that we've put in over the past in terms of all the video production, the workshops that have been put on, the podcasts, the endless podcasts that have been done. You can sit back and go, yeah, great, cool. And get some degree of gratification from that and go, right, cool, it does work, boom. Let's actually not become complacent, because that's the risk.
Yeah.
Is the complacency risk. And step in, boomers, please. Because we've looked at your businesses and we know you are, because you're so focused on the revenue side of the equation. You're not worried on building the asset value. It's got to a point that it's pumping out enough cash. So we don't want to become complacent. And I think that's where some business owners get trapped, is they've got that sexy bit of revenue, they've hit the 1 million and they've got comfortable. And they go, yep, cool. Then times get tough. They haven't built up the resilience on the balance sheet with cash. And it's just like, yeah, you've been caught out because you haven't worked on the asset side of the ledger. So I think now it's time for business owners to let's flip our thinking and go, yep, we know you've got the skills on addressing the revenue, chasing the leads and all that kind of stuff, but let's actually get more future focused, get some resilience and build that asset.
Well, at the time of recording this, it's Friday, the Friday before Labor Day. I was blown away how quiet the roads were. I believe we've got teacher strikes during the week. I don't want to get into any of that, but I believe that from people I talked to anecdotally, some people have decided to take a 5-day weekend and go Thursday, Friday, 1 day off. So, and then look after the kids on the Thursday because of the strike, etc. So it makes sense to me why it seems so quiet out there. But you know, it kind of makes me laugh, because Labor Day is the celebration of an 8-hour workday.
Sure is.
Well, fuck me. Hey, all business owners out there, you know, how are you enjoying your bloody, you know, cruisy life of 8-hour days, you know? Business owners are absolutely getting thrown through the ringer and finding extra hours and weekends and replying to people in the evening and whatnot. Like Samuel Parnell, I believe it was, the catalyst for Labor Day. He'd be turning in his grave if he saw what some of the SMEs are having to do at the moment. But I'll tell you what, no one's popping up in the media being like, fuck, feel really sorry for the business owners, like the ones that are really hanging in there grinding and making it happen. And hey guys, like maybe you should take an extra day off. It's kind of, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it's so easy to find a reason not to do the work that, and we get peppered that that's normal and like balance and don't burn yourself out and all this stuff. But no one cares about you if you miss your mortgage payment and you end up in the shit. Someone's still going to point the finger and be like, oh, okay, well, you know, what went wrong? And that's the hard thing, I think, for a business owner, is that it's always your fault. You're always responsible. And I think when you swap from that being a negative to how can I learn from that? Or, okay, if I'm saying, oh, it's tough out there because I read that it is for Air New Zealand, but what have I done? Have I actually rung customers? Have I have I made 20 calls this week and whatnot?
Well, you wouldn't have been able to make 20 calls because everyone's off Thursday, Friday.
Fair.
And like thinking about that, like you're absolutely bang on, and like I can feel my blood boiling inside, and I've got to cool my jets a little bit, but I know I won't. And people are going, here goes Phil on his fucking soapbox again. But the media won't pick up on it, and you put yourself in. And hopefully, a lot of business owners are listening to this, and I would love to hear from business owners that have got a team of whatever size and going, right, how many of your employees asked for Thursday to work from home? Number one, and then of those employees that were working from home on Thursday, this is obviously before Labour weekend, then put in either I'm going to work from home in inverted commas on the Friday, meanwhile they're driving down to the Pawanui with the jet ski on the back, or they've actually done the right thing and taken an annual leave day. So then we've got Thursday, Friday gone. Monday's a public holiday anyway. Tuesday I'm picking is going to be quiet as well, with people either coming back to the office with their shit chat or deciding to have the Tuesday off, or they'll work from home. Meanwhile, the economy still needs to be ticking along. Wages still needs to be paid. Emails need to be responded to. People still need to buy stuff. Quotes need to be done. Phone calls need to be returned. Crickets, but there's no one there to do it. The rent still needs to be paid. The insurance still needs to be paid. The accountant still needs to be paid. And all of the stuff in the here and now that is costing a business owner, yeah, they'll pay for it, but the challenge of those decisions that are being made today, because everything is grind to a slowdown, isn't going to show up in your cash flow for another month. And then the business owner is going to go, oh, shit. Oh, man, cash flow's tight. Yeah, because like back a month ago when no one was showing up at work, like that's the result, because the emails weren't being responded to, the phone calls weren't still being addressed. No one was actually hunting for sales because we're in this holiday mode. Oh, we need a break. Oh, it's been tough, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, cool, go and celebrate your 8-hour workday. Meanwhile, poor business owners still got bills to be paid and is grappling with it. Okay, meanwhile, employee sits back and go, oh, yeah, I'm still going to get paid my fortnightly salary. Yeah, choice.
Funny, someone said to me the other day about, you don't really understand because you don't have a mortgage, so you don't know what it's like for those costs to go up. I'm like, oh, I'd love to entertain your victimhood for a little while, but the insurance bill that we have as a business is probably more than your entire mortgage for the year. Do you want to know how much that went up? Oh, that's right, you don't give a fuck. Oh, what about the wage bills that are well into the six figures? Do you want to hear about the price increases for those? Oh, that's right, you don't give a fuck. So maybe you're out of touch with you just thinking small about your mortgage, and that's it, when a business owner has to think about things that on a P&L level are a bigger cost than your entire living costs in your household. So if you want to swing around with this who's got the biggest problems, come and have a beer with me, and I'm sure you won't get a fucking word in. But I don't have time to do that because I've got to figure out how I'm going to solve these problems. So thanks for telling me I'm out of touch.
Yeah, it's tough, and like I wish, and maybe I could do more about it myself in terms of just being more vocal online of my thoughts of the challenges that small business owners go through, because the media certainly aren't going to pick up on it. And then I know a recent comment that I did make online, I got faced with a terrible amount of backlash around sick leave because I'd underestimated the amount of employees that are on LinkedIn that really value their sick leave entitlement, despite the cost to small business owners. But be that as it may, being a business it's tough. It's not easy. You know, you're carrying so many burdens and so many decisions, and you just don't know which one is the right one or which is the wrong one. I think the thing is what we're talking about today really highlights that you've got to be across your numbers, number one. And we've been spouting on about it for ages around, hey, look, come and spend time with us. We want to help you educate and level up and know your numbers. If you don't want to spend time with us doing that, we've got a stack load of resources that will help you. Once you know your numbers and in the context of your operating environment that you're in, you'll then be able to make the decisions. And 9 times out of those 10, those decisions aren't going to be easy, because it could involve having a tough discussion with the landlord. It could mean, having a tough discussion with a supplier or a customer, or even worse, the worst one is staff. You know, I don't know a single business owner that we've got, or even a client that we've got, that's spoken to us and said, hey, look, this is the position we're in. We need to cut staff. Every single one of them hate it, and it's the last cab off the rank. Yeah. We're sitting here just, oh, no, fuck that, make it the first cab because we want to protect the business. Yeah, it's probably a little bit hard-nosed and unemotional, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we do have emotion when you peel it back a little bit, maybe a little bit more than a little bit. But anyway, the point is that business owners genuinely take this stuff seriously, but you need to be across your numbers and act faster, because fundamentally you've got to protect your asset.
You know, I think for me to wrap up, the point of this pod is to remind us again that you can't get complacent. Just because the interest rates are coming down at an OCR level and you're kind of being told it's summer and, hey, it should get better, et cetera, it's not how an economy works. And your results on your profit and loss are going to be the output of the effort and work that you put in. Now, if you let your business carry on, carrying more people that it can actually afford to, the outputs are going to turn up on the balance sheet in terms of debt. That's going to mean you end up going to get liquidated and no one's going to have a job. If you aren't going to pick up the phone and talk to people who actually do need your service, you're not going to have that revenue show up. That's not going to turn into profit, and then you're not going to need tax advice, and then you're not going to be stoked about how it's going.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for Phil and I, we've been doing this podcast for a number of years now, and we've gone from, oh, this is going to be an easy topic. Let's talk about the subsidy that you can go on, fill this form out, and the government will give you money. Oh, this one will be good. We can talk about 0% interest for 3 years, and that'd be great. We'll tell everyone how to apply for that. Oh, this one will be good. There's now a resurgent support payment. We can be able to tell everyone. It's gone from, oh, also, hey, if you do this form of marketing, fuck, you'll probably make some money. Oh, hey, if you send out this email, you'll probably make some money. To now, it's really hard. You need to do all the shit. You need to keep doing it. You need to turn it into a process. It's separating the weak from the strong, I guess. And I think, you know, part of our duty is to keep telling up and reminding people this, because there are just still no silver bullets apart from, like, you know, doing a shitload more work than other people.
Oh, mate, don't get me started on people that are looking for silver bullets. But I mean, my thing would be, like, we've said it often enough: do the work on the asset, do it consistently, and then hopefully next summer, Santa comes back with a sack full.
Nice. Yeah, be realistic about it too, because there's still a lot of business owners that are like holding on for hope or for it should just get better. You need to speak to your accountant and have a look at those numbers to figure out if you can even make it through to next summer when Santa turns back up with a full sack.
Fingers crossed. We're hoping for it.